The sky over northern Afghanistan was a bruised gray, heavy with smoke and death. Below, in a narrow valley surrounded by jagged cliffs, 381 Navy SEALs were trapped, pinned down by enemy fire, outnumbered 20-1, and running out of ammunition. Their radios crackled with static, voices filled with exhaustion and fear. Above them, every available aircraft had been called away. Reinforcements were hours out. They wouldn't survive that long. At Bagram Air Base, Captain Emily Torres, call sign Valkyrie, stood in front of her A-10 Thunderbolt II, her pulse pounding in her ears. She wasn't supposed to fly. Her bird had just come off a 12-hour mission, and maintenance hadn't cleared it for another sortie. Command had ordered every pilot to stand down due to visibility and fuel restrictions. But Emily didn't care about protocol, not when the mayday came through the comms. This is SEAL Team 9, we're surrounded. We need air support now. She'd heard that kind of desperation before. And she'd lost friends because of bureaucracy before. Never again. The A-10's engines roared to life like a beast unchained. Emily's crew chief sprinted to the cockpit, waving his arms. Torres, command hasn't cleared this. You'll be court-martialed. She met his eyes through the canopy. Then make it worth it. With that, she throttled up, the twin engines screaming as the Warthog tore down the runway. Her heart was a steady drumbeat of fear and resolve. The A-10 wasn't fast, but it was a flying tank, and tonight, it was the only thing standing between 381 brothers in arms and certain death. The valley came into view 30 minutes later, a cauldron of fire and chaos. The SEALs were scattered among shattered rocks and shallow trenches, flares burning weakly in the darkness. Enemy gunfire stitched the ground around them, and mortars exploded in the cliffs. Emily keyed the mic. This is Valkyrie, I've got eyes on you. Hold tight. A voice came back, choked and desperate. Valkyrie, this is Captain Briggs. We've got wounded everywhere. We can't hold much longer. Emily's stomach twisted. She could see the red heat signatures swarming the hills, hundreds of insurgents closing in. She'd flown hundreds of missions before, but this one was different. These weren't random coordinates on a map. These were people, soldiers, relying on her to make the impossible happen. She dove. The A-10 shrieked as it plunged into the valley, tracers ripping past the canopy. The BRRRT of the GAU-8 Avenger cannon thundered across the mountains, the gun's recoil jolting the entire aircraft. Shells the size of soda cans ripped into enemy lines, tearing vehicles apart like paper. Good hits, Valkyrie, keep going, Briggs shouted. She banked hard, smoke and fire lighting the cockpit. I'm not going anywhere. For 2 hours, she flew low and slow, impossibly low, skimming treetops, her hull scarred by shrapnel. Her fuel was critical, her ammo nearly gone, and still the enemy kept coming. The SEALs were running out of options. Then, the worst sound hit her headset, fuel low warning tone. Valkyrie, your bingo fuel, the tower's voice came through, urgent. Return to base immediately. Emily's throat tightened. If she left now, the SEALs would be slaughtered before reinforcements arrived. But if she stayed, she might never make it back. She looked out across the valley, smoke curling from the wreckage, men fighting tooth and nail, flashes of muzzle fire reflecting off broken helmets. These weren't just soldiers. They were brothers, fathers, sons. And she wasn't leaving them. Negative, tower, she said quietly. I stay with them. Her last strafing run was pure instinct. No radar lock, no targeting computer, just gut, skill, and courage. She rolled in at an impossible angle, the A-10 screaming down like a comet. She fired the last of her rounds, tearing through the enemy's flank. Explosions rippled across the ridgeline. The gun jammed at the final burst, empty. With no ammo and barely a whisper of fuel, Emily dropped low again, circling to draw fire away from the SEALs. Bullets ripped through her right wing. Warning lights flared red. She was losing hydraulics. Valkyrie, you're hit. Punch out, Briggs shouted, but she didn't eject. Not yet. She could still see a small convoy of enemy trucks cresting the ridge. If they reached the SEALs, it would be over. She made a choice. I've got one last pass, she said. Tell your men to get ready. Emily tilted the nose down and lined up the trucks in her sights. Her fuel gauge hit 0. The engine sputtered, then coughed out. The A-10 began to fall. Come on, baby, just a few more seconds, she whispered. The nose dipped, gravity pulling her down faster, but she didn't flinch. She aimed her crippled bird like a spear, guiding it straight toward the enemy line. At the last second, she pulled hard on the stick, skimming the ground as the enemy trucks erupted in fire from their own ammo stores igniting. The blast waved through her sideways. She hit the eject handle and was hurled into the night sky as her A-10 disappeared into the mountains below, a fireball lighting up the valley. Hours later, SEAL Team 9 found her. She was unconscious but alive, parachute tangled in the rocks, her arm broken and face covered in soot. Captain Briggs knelt beside her, voice trembling. "You crazy, beautiful angel, you saved every damn one of us." She groaned, eyes fluttering open. "Did we win?" Briggs smiled through tears. "We're going home." Back at Bagram, Emily faced a board of inquiry. She'd broken at least a dozen regulations: unauthorized takeoff, reckless engagement, insubordination. But when the testimonies came in, 381 statements from every man she saved, the tone of the hearing changed. A week later, her commanding officer stood before her with a crisp salute. "Captain Torres," he said, voice low, "you disobeyed every rule we have. And because of that, 381 SEALs are alive. The Pentagon calls that insubordination. I call it heroism." He handed her a small velvet box. Inside, the Distinguished Flying Cross. Years later, when asked why she did it, Emily Torres only smiled. "Because," she said, "rules matter, until lives are on the line. Then, all that matters is doing what's right." And that's how one woman, flying a battered A-10 Thunderbolt II, changed the definition of courage forever, not because she followed orders, but because she chose to fight when no one else would. She wasn't just a pilot. She was a guardian angel in steel wings.